Good morning. I'm on here to talk a little bit about body psychology. Tomorrow I have a body psychology class going from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. in Ocean Beach at the Healing Collective. Tickets are going to be in my bio. Anyways, today I'm going to go over just a specific spot in the body, which is the hip flexor. So right below the hip flexor, if you find or palpate on your tummy, around your sacral chakra, if you palpate like right below your hip bones, you'll feel the upper thigh, and you'll feel if it's sensitive or overly hardened. It could be soft or hard, it doesn't matter, but if it definitely feels sensitive, then this represents living out or projecting some sort of toxic masculine trait. Typically it's pushing forward, so it's any internal issue that you immediately push forward and project. So the back side would be the SI joint. This is the feminine toxicity, or the toxic feminine living out. So any moment you need to push forward, you actually go inward and you escape. So the word for these spots, the upper thigh and the back, are like brother sister. One is I feel a trigger, so I push, and then or force or create or initiate. There's good and bad. And the back side is I retreat, I isolate, I cope. So, well, both of them are coping, but one of them is more internal, the other is external. So that is what we're talking about today. The front of the body, the hip flexor. When people are really tight on the upper thigh, I always tell them, when you see something, you always do. You make sure that there is an action, there is a solution that is placed, and you are typically the leader. You are typically the one that creates the idea. If not the idea, you are the one that moves the group. And it's almost like an overdominance of movement. So it's almost like, I would say like almost my way or the highway, and a lot of people, including myself, who say that's not who I am. When you're so ambitious and so powerful in how you move forward, especially when you're around people, it can come off that way. And so when this area is sensitive, this is my coping expansiveness, even though I'm including other people? Or am I over dominating other people? Am I trying to force a perspective? Am I trying to force a movement, an initiation, an idea? Am I trying to, where does this come from? This comes from sustainability. You believe that you can hold up the responsibility and the burdens of groups, emotionally, physically, whatever it is. And so therefore you put yourself in the position to move them. So this can become toxic when you think that your value is based on that, when it is a singular force of being driven, like you are driven by this energy, because it doesn't allow you to sit back and introspect on yourself and when to cope and when to bring yourself back. You always push forward, which is why it's tight, over exacerbated. I always tell people, when you're around someone and they're speaking to you, whether you close your eyes or open your eyes, for the first 5 to 15 minutes of the conversation, just let them speak. Maybe ask them a question that will allow them to speak, and just pause for a moment. I'm not saying be quiet and to become dead or a zombie when you're listening, but make sure that you are taking everything in before you regurgitate or think of any solution, before you think of anything to say back. Just allow them to speak. Even if they seem like they're done, kind of give them a little bit more energy that they can keep going, because a lot of us need that reassurance. Give them the energy and then allow them to continue to speak. And what you should do in the 5 to 15 minutes is obviously listen to them, but pay attention to where you feel them in your body. And then if you are a person that is speaking in those 5 to 10 or 5 to 15 minutes, Pay attention to where you feel the other person in your body, because you'll be able to see, oh wait, this person brings out my toxic masculinity. I want to provide for this person. I want to push this person. I want to motivate this person. I want to push them out of their scenario. And you'll begin to feel where that resonates in your own body. So this isn't about finding out what their trauma is. This is about finding out what your trigger is, but through your body senses. So where do I feel you in my body? A lot of people feel me in their heart. And so certain people will feel like they need to pour themselves into me, which can look like codependency, envy, jealousy, or an overabundance of love. And then some people will feel like they can be selfish and taking from me. A lot of people have told me that they feel me in the heart. There's a shadow and there's a light to both. So going back to the thighs, the top of the thighs specifically, and remember that the sister aspect or the other aspect is going to be the SI joint. So this is the internal aspect. So how do you, knowing this, hey, top of my thigh is triggered, I have this issue with over dominance or initiation or hyper impulsivity or hyper independence, and I always move forward. I know exactly what to do all the time, whether people are with me or not, I'm doing it. How can you balance it? You introspect, you create space. This is the answer for every spot in the body. You create space, but you listen to your own body. Where am I not listening? What am I missing? Because this is how you integrate the divine feminine with the divine masculine, or you create balance so that these areas specifically do not have triggers, they do not have sensitivity, they do not have pain, is by integrating that backside. So if you've had any injuries, if you've had any instances where you've had impact on these areas that could result in injury, this is not for you. This is ultimately for people who have unknown reasons why they have pain in certain areas. They've already been checked by doctors. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm just a clinical hypnotherapist who has been trained in the subconscious and repressive emotions into the physical body. I talk about body syndromes, so I'm tailoring body syndromes into everything that spiritual healers talk about, which is the chakras, Reiki, craniosacral, traditional Chinese medicine, all the things that I've learned with all of these holistic modalities, and a culmination of body syndromes. So the more advanced class would be body syndromes, which quite literally takes, oh, you're tight here, tight here, tight here, tight here, creates a pair, and then pushes out, well, this might be your underlying issue emotionally, only emotionally, not physically, not biologically, just emotionally. So the thighs are about impulsive escapism outward. Do you travel a lot? Are you impulsive? Do you try to make the first move? Are you trying to sustain and become responsible for everybody? When are you able to sit back and just receive? When you do that, do you go into an extreme form of receiving like isolation and addiction? When you move outward, do you try to take control of a group and be a father for everyone? Do you act too quickly? Those are the questions you should ask, and then resonate with the body. If you don't have pain there, maybe this is a cue to search deeper, to become more familiar with other parts of your body. So I hope that helped. I hope you guys have a good day.